Now, most of us think about endless suffering, endless misery. It's almost like we're designed to look for trouble. How about endless love? How about unlocking your marriage, unlocking your heart, and finding endless, I'm going to go further, love that keeps expanding forever and ever. In other words, it's growing. Happiness that just keeps getting happier and happier until you're floating in marital bliss. I'm Paul Friedman. I created the science behind what we have at the Marriage Foundation. Been doing this since 2001. And at that time, I was a divorce mediator. A couple asked me to help them save their marriage. Not enough. I don't want to just save your marriage. I want you to have the kind of marriage that I have, where you're floating in joy all the time. Wow, you should read the reviews that we have from people, because this is not just for this person or that person. This works for everybody. I'm going to tell you a little secret. When I was developing this science, and it is a science, I worked with people for 8 years, couples, men, women, individually. Individually is the right way to go, by the way. But I often start out with couples. And then one day I got a call from somebody, and she said, I am a social worker. I'm in Vista. I was in Del Mar in San Diego County in California, and I want to send a couple to you. She heard about me from a friend who used us, and we saved their marriage, etc. And I said, okay. And my rate at the time was $300 a session. This was in early 2000s. And she said, well, we can only give a credit for $38, something like that. And I went, okay, do it. Let's do it. Why did I want to do it? Well, if you're going to a social worker, chances are you don't have a lot of money. And so that means we're dealing with people who don't have a lot of money. Will it work for them? Because our system is scientifically organized. And I thought, I want to give it a try. And she described the couple, and honestly, they were not well educated either. So I said, that's okay. Let's see if it works. And you know what? They came in very unhappy. One session, and I extended it to 2 hours, but one session, they left holding hands, wrapping each other in each other's arms, and they were so happy they couldn't believe it. Why? Because the principles that we teach are common sense. You don't have to be a genius. I'm not a genius, honest to God. Some people think that I'm smart. I've had people call me doctor, professor, but I'm really not that smart. But I like simplicity. And so what I did was I created a path to happiness within your marriage that is simple. Now, there's complexity sometimes with a lot of simple things put together. And that's what we have. But if you just read one of our books, there's 2 of them. There's Lessons for a Happy Marriage, there's Breaking the Cycle, or take the online course, either for men or for women. You'll see what I'm talking about. But let's go back to this. How do you unlock this happiness? First, you have to understand something. You're not what you think you are. You know, we think that we're that person that we see in the mirror, but we're not. We're not flesh and bones. And I could tell you, I'm into my 70s. I'm certainly not who I used to see when I looked in the mirror when I was a teenager. At that time, I had a full head of hair. Not anymore. Yet inside, who are we? Now, this is not a religious conversation. This is merely the simple truth. We are the soul. God created man and woman in his image. What is his image? It's not fingers and toes. His image is undescribable joy. Undescribable. You know, when you're so happy, when you're feeling love, the key, when you're feeling love, you feel so much joy that you're floating. How do you unlock it? There's steps involved. The first step And this may sound like it's a little bit extensive and a little bit complicated, and maybe it is, but that's why we have the books in the course. You have to first learn how to control the mind, how to take those thoughts that are sitting in the subconscious and convert them from defensive thoughts, because they're all defensive thoughts. We are so controlled by our psychophysiology, that wants to protect us. You have to be safe. Well, if you're safe, you're not opening your heart. So you have to stop that. You have to stop the mind from interfering with the true you. The true you is love. God created you in his own image. His image is love. And when you learn how to control the mind and then cultivate that devotion that is within you, now you're doing it. You're unlocking the treasure of love and joy. That's what God wants you to do anyway. And I'm telling you now, you can do it. You don't need to resist everyone saying, yeah, but what if this, what if that? I used to, when I'd meet with people, I would talk about a principle and people will go, yeah, but, and I go, okay, here it comes. And I said, these are the yeah, but birds. They don't come one at a time. They come in a flock. The yeah, but birds. Yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but what about that? That's the mind. You know why? It's a very interesting thing. Because the mind, which is nothing but a freaking computer, the mind doesn't want you to be happy. You see, the mind owns us, which is insane because it's just a computer. But it owns us until we own it. Now, is that instant? No, it is not. It takes a lot of understanding, and then it takes learning how to control what's going on in the mind, because the mind is powerful. It's just a computer, but it's an amazing computer. But we have to get it back under our control. And then when we do, we learn to open our heart. We learn to cultivate that devotion, and we learn to fill our marriage, which is a space that only two of you are in. We learn to fill our marriage with happiness, with joy, with love, and the marriage just keeps getting better and better and better. What are your next steps? Now, if your marriage is doing okay, but you could use a little help, you can just watch these videos. It's free. Or you could read my articles. They're free. Or you could take the next step. Get one of my books. We have two books. One is Lessons for a Happy Marriage, and the other is Breaking the Cycle. And the only difference is one is a little more complicated because I wrote Breaking the Cycle for when I started to train marriage counselors into our system. Now, if your marriage is really like, oh my God, I don't know how long I could take this, then by all means, don't worry about the money. There's plans that start for less than $10 a week. Get the online course. We have one for women and we have one for men. They're both spectacular. And if both of you, and it's rare, but go to our website. And if your spouse wants to sign up too, they can, but later. First, you find out what it's all about. One thing I promise you is within days or weeks at the most, you will be blown away by the amazing changes that are happening already. God bless you. And please like this video, but more importantly, subscribe so you can get this entire series of the toxins that hit your marriage. I'm Paul Friedman. God bless you and take care.